Okay guys, welcome back to another Assetto Corsa setup video. In today's video we're going to be taking the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 around Spa. Okay, so we want to try and get out the last corner obviously as cleanly as we can and getting as much speed down the start straight as possible. Looking out just to brake a little bit earlier than we would normally with the other GT3s, just before the 100 there on the left. We're going to brake a little bit earlier, going down into second gear and try and get a nice early entry so we can get on the power as early as we can. Getting on the power quickly, going through the gears, running no traction control for this setup to give us as much speed through Eau Rouge and some of the other corners as possible. So we're going to go into 6th gear and we're going to try and take this flat out. You can do it flat out with the setup I've created in the Lamborghini. We're just about to get through that flat out, staying in 6th gear and maintaining a lot of speed through Eau Rouge. So we're going to be coming down into the next braking zone, approaching about 170 miles per hour. Going to brake a little bit early than what we would do normally because obviously we're carrying that bit of extra speed. Braking down into 4th gear slow, then 3rd gear for the apex of the corner. Staying in 3rd gear now, slowly feeding the power through, then just a little lift just to bring it back into the corner. Then hard on the power, going into 4th gear on the exit. Then looking to brake just before the curb on the left there, going down into 2nd gear, again holding a nice tight line, and then once the grip's there, feed the power through and into 3rd gear, then briefly into 4th gear, back down to 3rd gear quickly, chucking the car into the apex, trying to skim that curb and on the power as early as we can to get a clean exit. Going into 5th gear, and then into 6th gear briefly, then back down to 4th gear for this fast left-hander, then hard on the power in 4th gear. We actually went into 5th gear there, we should have stayed in 4th gear and got a little bit more speed out. We lost maybe 100 for doing that, we should have stayed in 4th. Then going into 6th gear for this corner, braking just before the curb again, going down into 3rd gear, being careful on the throttle through these corners with running no traction control, just be patient with the throttle. Then into 4th gear, and back down to 3rd gear for this corner now, staying close to the apex and then feed the power in and get as much exit speed as you can for this upcoming straight. And we might have to give it a little lift through that corner. We managed to hold it flat out, but we did run a little bit wide, but you may need to just give it a little brief lift off the accelerator just to hold the line better. Going into 6th gear now for the fast left-hander. We're going to take this flat out again. You should just be able to stay on. You might run a little bit wide on the curb. I think we run a little bit wide there, just slightly over the curb, but you can get away with that. Then braking just on that whiteboard on the left. We took this far too cautious now. This lap would have probably been a very low 2:16, but we were very careful on the power now because we didn't want to lose the back end. So going through the gears and we go over the line for a 2:16.8, but like I say, that should have been at least half a second quicker, I think, with a few mistakes. Okay, so we'll have a little look at the finishing lap time now when it comes up. We'll pause it and have a little look. So yeah, a 2:16.895, but like I say, that could have been a lot faster. I think this car could possibly get into the 2:15s if you've just pushed it a little bit harder and get rid of the mistakes. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too long hot lapping it. I just wanted to get a setup that's good to drive. So going through the setup, running 66 brake bias gives us good turning for the corners. Not as high on the front as some of the other GT3 cars. You run it a bit lower on this. Running 1.6 on the downforce. If you find that a little bit too loose on the back end, you can up it to 7, but you will need to lift on Eau Rouge and some other corners with the understeer. Running the gears, make sure you take down the gears as they've been altered, and also the power on 15 and coast on 55 gives a nice balance for running no traction control. Going into the suspension, again, we tried to get this car to go through the corner like Eau Rouge as much as we've altered this quite a bit to get this car to go through Eau Rouge, basically flat out. That is the key to the lap on this track because of the speed you carry down the straight. So make sure you take note of all the suspension settings. We've also altered some of the damper settings, as you'll see in a minute when we get to the dampers, as obviously we up the roll bar quite strongly on the front. That is one key area that you will need to do to get the car to go through Eau Rouge flat out. If it's giving you a bit too aggressive front end, just lower that slightly. Going through the bump stop, again we upped the bump stops and the fast bump as well, just to give us some more grip basically going through Eau Rouge. Also the travel range, I found maxing that out really helps with Eau Rouge on a lot of cars. I did that with the AMG GT3 also. So anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and make sure you check out more future videos to come and subscribe and give this video a like if you like what you've watched, and check out the TV replay camera again as this car sounds amazing. Thanks again for watching guys.